If you would like to know if your child might be dyslexic, then you came to the right place. We're taking a look at signs and symptoms of dyslexia from around 6 years up to 15. Find out if your child is at risk of not getting the support he or she needs. If you don't know me yet, my name is Arije. I have a MA in Education Studies, and I tend to work with dyslexic adults and occasionally also with parents. The way this is going to work is we're going to take a look at reading, writing, speaking, and also mental health related signs and symptoms of dyslexia. So let's get started with speaking. Dyslexics tend to experience the tip of the tongue phenomena more often than non-dyslexics. So your son or daughter is likely to use a lot of filler words, like for example, you know, or like. Now, another sign that you want to be aware of is that dyslexics tend to confuse certain words, like for example, tornado and volcano, or humanity and humidity, or location and ocean. A deficit in phonological awareness is normally at the core of this. So the ability to work with and recognize certain sounds and sound patterns within spoken language. This might also make it easier to leave out certain sound elements in certain words, and then you end up, for example, with mistakes like these. Aluminium might become amulium, or parts of a certain word might be confused. So then something like spaghetti becomes paschetti. Another sign that you would be able to pick up on when you're talking to a dyslexic child is that he or she will find it difficult to remember dates, phone numbers, or random lists of items. This has to do with the fact that the working memory of dyslexics is affected. More precisely, the phonological loop or the inner voice within the working memory is affected. The next group of signs and symptoms all relate to mental health. And the first sign that you can pick up on has to do with exhaustion. Dyslexics are often given tasks that aren't appropriate for them. If you give a dyslexic kid an entire book to read and tell him or her finish it until the end of the month, then that's not going to work because fundamental skills are missing, and the kid will try to make it happen somehow, and that can be incredibly tiring. Another sign that you would be able to pick up on has to do with all the negative emotions that start to develop. He or she will get increasingly scared of tasks that have to do with reading and writing. Also, there might be some shame that develops because it becomes more and more clear that there's an underperformance, that he or she isn't able to do certain things that are kind of easy for other kids. Additionally, you're likely also be able to observe avoidant behavior. So he or she will start to not want to go to school, or just not want to engage with anything that has to do with these tasks that are so scary. Now we come to reading, and the first thing that I would like you to know regarding this is that our written word is like a code. And if you understand all the rules, then you can decode the written word and understand what's going on. Now, this decoding process doesn't become automatic like it does for non-dyslexics. And that means that it takes a lot of effort, and so much so that it becomes difficult to take in the information and decode at the same time. Overall, the reading will be slow, effortful, and not particularly smooth. In general, singular words will be harder to read just because there isn't any context. You really have to rely on your decoding skills. And reading for pleasure will probably not really happen because it's just too much effort. Stumbling over multisyllable words will be a more regular thing, and also mispronouncing longer words. Now, another thing that you might observe is that your son or daughter might get into trouble when it comes to the amount of time that is available in exams. Now we come to writing. In the past, people tended to think that reversal of letters, for example, confusing B with D, is like a hallmark of dyslexia. But that is actually not true. Actually, both non-dyslexics and dyslexic kids tend to do this. They tend to confuse similar looking letters. However, for dyslexics, it tends to persist longer. So even after the age of 12, there might be incidents where letters are being reversed. Now, If you see that, this might be an indicator, but it is certainly not a defining feature of dyslexia. Now, another sign of dyslexia when it comes to spelling would be phonetic spelling. What is phonetic spelling? So imagine somebody tells you, write down the word pear, and you write pear. Of course, that didn't work. And the reason for this is that English isn't a very regular language. You can't simply listen to a word and then expect to write it correctly. But still, this is what dyslexics tend to do a lot. Overall, you will simply see a lot of spelling and punctuation mistakes, and you will see that he or she will rely on spell check a lot, which is fine as long as you have a laptop available, which is not always the case in school. Now, I hope you got value out of this video, and if you're interested in signs and symptoms for younger children, then have a look at the video over here. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next one. Bye.